Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into Veterans Day 2024, specifically all the ways that America honors its veterans every year. And we're really interested in the business side of things, like all the incredible offers and discounts and just this outpouring of gratitude you see everywhere.
Yeah, it's really something.
We've been looking through a ton of articles and news stories, and it's honestly overwhelming. Almost every company seems to be doing something.
It's true. You can't really escape it.
So instead of just listing off every single deal we found, we wanted to focus on what stood out to us, the more interesting examples, and,
Yeah.
really try to understand what it all means.
Right. Like, what's the deeper story here?
Exactly.
I think it's fascinating to consider the history of Veterans Day, too.
Yeah.
How it evolved from Armistice Day, which originally commemorated the end of World War I.
Oh, yeah, back in 1919.
Right.
And then President Eisenhower expanded it in 1954 to include all veterans, not just those from World War I.
No.
So for almost 70 years, this day has been about honoring generations of service and sacrifice. But with all the celebrations and the deals and everything, it's easy to lose sight of the individual stories, the human element.
Absolutely.
So we wanted to start this deep dive with a personal perspective.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
In fact, we have an interview here
Yeah.
with John Smith. He's a retired Army sergeant.
Okay.
And his story really captures the challenges that many veterans face when they return to civilian life.
Yeah, I can imagine that transition isn't always easy. So what were some of the obstacles that John faced?
Well, like a lot of veterans, John had trouble finding work, something that matched his skills and experience. He also talks about how difficult it was to cope with memories of his service and how those experiences impacted his mental health.
That makes sense. I think it's easy to forget that for a lot of veterans. Coming back to civilian life isn't a seamless process. There can be a lot to work through.
Yeah, absolutely. But John's story also shows the power of support systems. His family and friends were there for him, and he also found a lot of comfort in connecting with other veterans, people who understood what he was going through.
Right, because they'd been there themselves.
Exactly.
That shared experience creates such a strong bond, almost like they have their own language.
I think that's a great way to put it. And that support network was crucial for John. It helped him find his footing, and eventually he found work at a nonprofit. That helps other veterans navigate those same challenges.
Yeah, that's amazing. He's taking his own experiences and using them to help others.
It really is. Talk about coming full circle.
It shows how resilient veterans can be and how important it is to give them the resources they need, not just to survive, but to really thrive after their service.
I completely agree.
And one way we see that support manifest is through all the generosity from businesses on Veterans Day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There are so many offers out there. Free meals,
Yeah.
coffee, discounts on all kinds of products and services.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And it's not just a few companies here and there. It's like every restaurant chain you can think of. Plus, retailers, online businesses, everyone's getting in on it.
It's true.
But, what I find interesting is how many of these offers are food related.
Oh, yeah.
Like you've got Applebee's, Chili's, Golden Corral. They're all offering free meals to veterans.
You're right. And it's not just free meals. It's free buffet meals
Yeah.
at Golden Corral. Like they're saying, come on in. Let us feed you. Let us take care of you.
Yeah. There's something really powerful about that.
Very communal.
Like food represents more than just sustenance. It's about community, belonging, being taken care of.
I think so, too.
And we see that idea with some of the other offers as well, like Cracker Barrel. They're doing a free pancake special. Not a whole meal, but something warm and comforting, almost nostalgic.
That's interesting. I like that you picked up on that.
It's not just about the practical value, it's the message behind it, how we view veterans, and how we want to express our gratitude.
Go
And then there's Starbucks, offering a free cup of coffee. Again, it's not a huge expense for them, but it's a gesture. Like they're saying, we see you, we appreciate you, we want to start your day off right now.
And coffee is such a social ritual. It's about connection, conversation, maybe sharing stories with fellow veterans.
Right, it's more than just the caffeine.
Exactly.
And then you have places like Fazoli's giving away free spaghetti.
Oh, yeah. What's more classic than that?
Exactly. I mean, who doesn't love a big plate of spaghetti?
It's like comfort food 101.
Totally.
And they're really leaning into that Italian-American comfort food image, family, tradition, home-cooked meals.
It's like they're trying to create a sense of warmth and familiarity for veterans.
Yeah.
Maybe even a bit of nostalgia for simpler times.
I could see that.
But it's not just restaurants. We also have offers from companies like gourmetgiftbaskets.com. They're offering a 25% discount for veterans.
That's a good one.
It's encouraging people to think beyond just a meal. It's about choosing a gift, something thoughtful that shows you care.
I like that.
And then there's Omaha Steaks. They have a
Yeah.
special Veterans Day package deal.
Omaha Steaks.
Yeah,
That's pretty fancy.
right. I wonder if most veterans are looking for something like that, or if it's more about the gesture itself.
That's a good question. I think it speaks to the variety of offers out there and how businesses are trying to appeal to different tastes. Some veterans might appreciate a luxurious gift like that, while others might prefer something more practical or sentimental.
You know, what strikes me about all these offers
Yeah.
is that it's not really about the money.
No,
It's about the gesture.
the thought behind it.
Right, the recognition of service and wanting to make veterans feel valued.
I think you're absolutely right. And that ties back to John Smith's story. That feeling of being valued and appreciated can make a huge difference in a veteran's well-being.
Yeah, it's about more than just saving a few bucks.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really does say a lot about how businesses are trying to show their support. But, these gestures, while they're great, they're really just one piece of the puzzle. When it comes to actually supporting veterans, I agree. We can't just stop at a free meal or a discount and think we've done our part. It's about looking beyond these symbolic gestures and figuring out how to create a society where veterans feel supported and valued all year round.
Absolutely. A free meal is nice.
Yeah.
But it doesn't address the deeper issues, the systemic issues
Right.
that a lot of veterans face.
Like what kinds of things?
Well, things like access to good health care, mental health support, job opportunities that actually use their skills.
Right. Those are things that a free plate of spaghetti can't fix.
Exactly.
No matter how good it is.
Exactly.
So how do we move beyond these one-day gestures? How do we create real lasting change? What does meaningful support for veterans actually look like?
Well, I think it starts with understanding the unique challenges that veterans face. When they transition back to civilian life, we talked about this with John Smith's story, the struggle to find work, coping with traumatic memories, feeling isolated from civilian society.
Yeah, those are serious issues.
And they can't be solved with a simple thank you.
So it's about addressing those underlying needs, providing resources and support systems that help veterans thrive.
Exactly. And there are organizations out there doing incredible work, like the one John Smith works for. They offer targeted support, job training programs, counseling services. They even help veterans navigate the VA system.
Which can be really complicated.
Oh, absolutely.
So these organizations are filling a crucial gap,
They really are.
and they need our support, both financially and through volunteering.
I couldn't agree more.
So it's not just the government's responsibility or the military's. It's something we all have a role to play in.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that service doesn't end when someone takes off the uniform. It's about creating a society that values their contributions, understands their challenges, and provides the support they need to succeed.
And that support can take many forms. Donating to veterans organizations, volunteering our time, even just having conversations with veterans in our communities, really listening to their stories and perspectives.
I think that last point is so important. Sometimes just feeling heard and understood can make a world of difference.
It's about bridging that gap between the civilian world and the military experience. Now,
Right.
aside from these broader ways of supporting veterans, we also wanted to talk about Veterans Day itself and all the events that happen across the country.
Of course.
What are some of the most common ways that communities honor veterans on this day?
Well, you have the Veterans Day parades. Those are always a big deal.
Oh, yeah, with the marching bands.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Military units, veterans organizations, floats representing different branches of the service.
I bet the parade in New York City is quite a spectacle.
Oh, it's one of the biggest in the world. It draws huge crowds, veterans from all generations.
Oh, wow.
But it's not just the big cities. A lot of smaller towns have their own parades too, maybe on a smaller scale, but with just as much heart and patriotism.
Yeah, it's a chance for local veterans
Could
to
be.
connect with their community,
Exactly.
to feel seen and appreciated.
It's like a collective thank you from the entire community.
And then there are the memorial services.
Right.
Those are usually held at veterans' memorials.
And cemeteries.
It's a more somber occasion.
Much more focused on remembrance, honoring the memory of those who gave their lives.
It's a time for quiet reflection.
For families to connect with the memory of their loved ones. for the community to grieve and pay their respects.
I think it's important to have those moments
Absolutely.
amidst all the celebrations.
It's about striking a balance, honoring the fallen and celebrating the living.
Recognizing both the triumphs and the losses.
Exactly.
Are there other kinds of events, too? More casual gatherings?
Oh, sure. Lots of communities have picnics, concerts, family-friendly events in parks.
That sounds nice.
It's a more relaxed setting for veterans to connect with their families and neighbors, other veterans,
It's about fostering camaraderie.
and sharing stories.
It sounds like there's a real effort to create a variety of events,
Yeah.
to cater to different preferences.
Right, because veterans aren't a monolithic group,
Their needs and desires are diverse,
and that diversity is reflected in the range of offers from businesses.
from pancakes to steak dinners,
All about the intention behind it,
showing gratitude, appreciation.
making veterans feel valued.
Which brings us back to our original question. Do these gestures go far enough? Do they really meet the needs of veterans?
It's a tough question.
I think it's something each listener needs to consider.
We've talked about the history of Veterans Day, heard some inspiring stories, and seen the outpouring of support from businesses and communities,
But we've also talked about the challenges.
and the need for more support.
Support that lasts all year.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a final thought.
What will you do to honor veterans? Not just today, but in the days and weeks and months to come.
Will you volunteer your time, donate to a good cause, or just have a conversation with a veteran in your community?
The choice is yours.
But your actions can make a real difference.
Remember, every little bit helps. We can all work together to create a more supportive and inclusive society for those who have served our country.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's amazing to see all the ways people celebrate Veterans Day. And hearing John Smith's story was really inspiring.
Yeah, he's had quite a journey.
But I keep thinking about that question. Do all these gestures really go far enough?
It's a big question, and I don't think there's an easy answer.
There's a lot of goodwill out there, but then you
Sure.
see the struggles that so many veterans still face.
It's a real disconnect.
We celebrate their service on this one day, but then what happens the rest of the year?
That's the problem.
It's like we're putting a Band-Aid on a much bigger wound.
Yeah, we address the surface level, but what about the long-term well-being of veterans?
So what's the solution? How do we create real, lasting change?
I think it starts with awareness, understanding the challenges veterans face, the transition back to civilian life. Their needs are complex.
It's not as simple as just donating money.
No, it's about understanding the nuances.
So what can we do?
Support organizations that are doing the work on the ground, providing direct services to veterans, connecting them with resources.
So like local veterans organizations?
Yeah. Mental health resources for veterans.
And we can all do our part individually, too.
Absolutely. Volunteer your time. Donate to a cause you believe in. Even just talk to veterans in your community.
It's about going beyond those feel-good moments on Veterans Day.
And making a commitment to support veterans year-round.
This deep dive has been really thought-provoking.
I've enjoyed it.
We've celebrated the stories, acknowledged the challenges, and explored ways we can all make a difference.
Hopefully it's inspired our listeners.
To not just honor veterans today, but to support them every day.
That's what it's all about.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive